is January 1st. And you know what that means, everybody. The Grinch is dead.
Yeah, it'll be tough. You know, I miss it already, but it's not December anymore. We can't keep watching the Grinch. You know, we gotta move on with our lives. Oh shit, is that a knock at the door? Hey, come on in. Oh, dude, Zach.
Hey,
What's up, buddy?
what's going on?
Dude, not too much. Happy New Year, my dude.
Happy New Year.
Zach, I hope all your New Year dreams came true, and I hope that 2018 is going to be a great year for you.
Absolutely.
Oh, I meant 2020.
Well, that was a good year, too.
So we're here to watch a movie. Is there any movie in particular you would want to watch with us now in January?
Well, every time of the year when December comes around, I have a laundry list of movies that I like to watch, namely Jingle All the Way.
Oh, nice.
But I got through Jingle All the Way, got really deep into Home Alone. One that I skipped, though, and I don't really want to proceed with the new year until I'm able to get around to it, is actually The Grinch.
Someone just say Grinch. A Grinch.
Dude, he said it, dude. The Grinch? Are you serious, bro?
No, he said it. We gotta watch it now. We gotta watch it.
Oh, dude, I'm glad he said it, because God knows I wasn't gonna say it. Oh, thank God we have it primed and ready right here.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, baby. It's time for The Grinch.
It's Grinch time, baby!
So that excites me even more. If you've been holding off, so this will be essentially your first viewing of the year, right?
I haven't seen The Grinch all year.
Hey, me neither. It's 2020, baby.
There we go. First viewing of the decade. 500 to follow.
So here we begin. The classic setting composition starts just kind of in a blue area, but we hone into this snowflake, which, we're zooming in pretty close. Like the one on your sleeve. I mean, I don't have any snowflakes on my sleeve, so I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about, but...
Yeah, all the snow instantly disappeared in our yard after December was over.
Have you guys ever watched The Grinch more than once in a day?
Oh yeah. I'll leave this to Nate.
I think this year I did get 3 viewings in a single day. I would even say 4, putting it on to go to bed at the end of the night, but I fell asleep. I would say probably about 8/9 of the way in, so I don't know if I would really count that one.
Would you say that in one day, as a record, that you've watched The Grinch more times or you've masturbated more times?
The Grinch, definitely. I think the only... I don't know, that's a good question, because...
We got to get those numbers up, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back. I'm not much of a two-goer when it comes to yanking my Grinch yard, but I've definitely... God, I don't know. That's a good question. I think there was definitely a time in my life where I tried to... I would say it's probably about the same. I've masturbated 3 times successfully, and then the 4th time I got about 8/9 of the way there. And then I gave up.
All right, well, have you ever masturbated while watching The Grinch?
I haven't yet, but I think this viewing might be the one. So if you guys want to watch, that's cool. If not, it's whatever. But just know I'll be doing that over here.
Just let me know when you get started. I'll jump in too.
Oh, I'm already started. My hands are already down my pants. My dick isn't hard yet, but I'm working it. I need some. Once the Grinch comes on, that's when the boners go up. If you know what I mean.
Enter Clint Howard.
Yeah. Clint Howard. What a it's funny. I actually had no idea who Clint Howard was before watching this movie. I've seen him in a lot of films, but I just had no idea he was related to Ron Howard just because of how just odd shapen he is.
Yeah, of all Clint Howard movies, this is one where you see him on screen and he demands to be named as an actor. You have to know.
This is where he's taking his stand.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. All right, I'm getting that tingly feeling down below. It's not quite there, but it's, the foreplay. Seeing the Grinch wrap his fingers around that, I don't know what you would call that, handle. Reminds me of something.
Did you watch this movie a lot as a kid, Zach?
No, actually, my parents didn't want me to watch it.
Really?
Yeah, because we were very classically inclined, very dedicated to the cartoon version.
Okay.
That was the only Grinch that we watched, and we really stayed true to that. My parents never wanted to take me to see this or indulge in this at all, or keep it on the TV casually or anything, just because I think they're offended by the way that the Who's looked.
Oh, really?
Was it their nose? Or what?
Yeah,
What about them?
Yeah.
It had to be the nose.
Yeah, because otherwise they're just humans, but with giant
Yeah.
noses on.
Yeah, I'm sure your guys' parents aren't like this, but my parents will see something like a cartoon or a movie, and they'll see something grotesque, and they'll just say, "No, you can't watch that. That's gross." So this just happened to strike one of those chords.
Oh, God. Were there any other movies you find they reacted that way to in your childhood? Were you ever denied other series?
I couldn't watch The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did they just don't like stop motion?
They thought it was grotesque.
In what way? It just the skinniness of Jack Skellington, the ragdoll woman.
Well, the visual part was something, but they also they thought that it was sacrilege to combine Halloween and Christmas.
Wow. But they allowed you the original cartoon Grinch.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think your parents would be one of those people who rated this movie a 1 star because of how off track this takes the original story of the Grinch?
Yeah, I think my parents would be. They really actually pretty frequently will leave movies in the movie theater.
Wow.
And I think this would be one that they would leave.
Wow. That's crazy.
If you had to guess at what point they would stand up, throw their hands in the air, and walk out of the theater in this movie, how early do you think it would be?
Probably right now.
So he's just causing some Christmas chaos.
Jim Carrey with the Who mask and the bad breath, and just the Who people that are like climbing up the mountain.
Because I know I remember you kind of telling me this a while back. They were really invested into the Santa myth, right? With you guys, like your family, and kind of perpetuating that Santa was real.
Yes. Yeah. I can elaborate.
Please.
Yeah. So I almost don't want to say how long I believed in Santa, but my family went to great lengths to ensure that I did, that my siblings did. And the reason that I believed Santa existed year after year is because I saw him in the flesh year after year.
No.
And everyone that loved me told me that was Santa and that he was real. So I had no reason not to believe that.
These people I trust implicitly since infancy.
Yeah.
So how did it feel? At what point, you don't have to specify what age, but when you discovered, when the jig was up and the Santa was out of the sack, so to say. How did you feel? Did you feel relieved? Was it feelings of distrust, hurtfulness?
Well, so
What was the emotion?
I stopped believing in Santa Claus the same time that I stopped believing in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. So it's like, how does it feel to not have a God? Yeah. It's a similar feeling.
Oh yeah, those would go hand in hand. Santa and Jesus, like if one isn't real, neither is real.
Yeah, magic isn't real. North Pole is bullshit. Elves are just made up. The world sucks.
It's interesting that you say both of those fantasies expired at the same time for you, because for me, I believed in Santa far longer than I did in Jesus. I would say I went to a Catholic school from kindergarten to 7th grade, and I can confidently tell you I don't think I really ever bought into that bullshit. Like I'd be sitting in religion class, and they'd be like, "Oh, Jesus did all this bullshit." And I'd be like, dude, this is like, we're learning about, letters and numbers. And now you're like telling me this story. Like, this is kind of weird. So I don't know if I really ever believed in Jesus. And I can tell you, when I found out that Santa was not true, I was driving to school. My mother was driving me and one of my friends that she would pick up on the way to school. And I don't know, it was like sometime around Christmas, and we were talking about Santa, and my friend goes, "Nate, Santa is just your parents, right?" And my mom nearly got in a car accident, like going like, "Whoa, whoa, what?" Like, yeah, it was bad, and I was like, "Wait, what?" It was a bad day at school for me.
Wow.
I wouldn't even want to be at school. I'd be like, just take me home. Let me sit alone in my room for a while.
Because it would really change your worldview. Everything that you thought could be possible or explained before can now not be explained.
Yeah, it's like one of the greatest days of the year to look forward to loses a lot of its charm. It's like you still get the gifts, but it's like, oh well, now I know where they're coming from. It's not from some fat old man like coming in our non-existent chimney.
It also it kind of makes you disillusioned with not just Jesus, but all myths and legends and religion, and you realize Santa and Jesus actually have very similar powers, and the scope of their powers is similar.
Oh yeah, it's like, well, if these two aren't real, like what else isn't real?
Yeah, Santa got crucified on Christmas Eve, and his spirit delivers presents to us. Yeah, thinking back to it now, I know that my talk with my parents about Santa not existing was very analogous to the talk about sex. I feel like I was brought into a room secretly with mom and dad. They kind of started off with, all right, we don't know how much you've heard or what you already know, but we're going to lay it out for you. Sex doesn't exist. Or, in this case, Santa. And I think thinking back to it, I had similar feelings about Santa as I did Jesus. I think at an early age, it was kind of like, it doesn't really matter if I buy into this or not. If I just kind of am a good boy, I'll get either presents or the eternal salvation of my soul.
And now we know you can just buy both those things with money. That's the truth of the world. Money buys you everything that you could need. People who say you can't buy happiness with money is bullshit. It helps. I would say, some poor people, most of them, they're probably happy with what they have, but, like, are they truly happy? Deep down inside, are they content with their lives?
And you have to wonder too if it's good for a child's psyche to teach Santa Claus. Like, does that promote materialism? Does that skew their concept of money? Like, I can remember thinking when I was a kid, it doesn't matter what I ask for. Like Santa has a factory in the North Pole, and he has elves that can just make this shit. Like it doesn't matter if it's $100 or $10,000. Like I can just ask for it, and he can make it.
I remember one year, I had asked Santa back when I believed he existed. I actually had asked him for the code name Kid Next Door Treehouse, because I saw like it was like either a commercial or on like the Cartoon Network website where it was like you can buy the treehouse for like $20 gajillion, and I was like, oh Santa, I know what I want this year.
Money's no issue with Santa. Start building elves. Were your parents big on decorating the house as well? Do you have some lights that were regularly put up, or mostly
yeah.
internal?
Yep, every year I always help. Still to this day, you could actually go out to my parents' house as of yesterday before the turn of the new year. They take it down at the turn of the new year. But best house on the block. Big old blow-up Santa.
Any big old blow up Grinches?
No.
Oh well, yeah. I suppose I can understand that. Not even like the classic cartoon one.
No.
Damn. You should try to sneak one in next year.
Yeah.
Sneak one in for us.
Well, yeah, I think another problem with the Grinch is, Christmas, especially from a Christian point of view, it's meant to be about Jesus, right? It's his birthday, and then the Grinch comes in and he's kind of anti-Christmas in the Santa sense, but when you let the Grinch shit all over Christmas on the Jesus sense, like then it becomes like almost like demonic, like more sacrilege.
The Grinch is Satan.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, he's kind of like he's a demon to the Who's. He is just an otherworldly creature, unlike any of the Who's. So he could realistically be like their kind of version of Satan, or their kind of anti-Santa.
And then, yeah, movies like The Grinch, given all of that, it almost makes you question Satan as well. You're almost like, maybe Satan is just misunderstood. Maybe he was, put in this place, by a higher power against his will, and maybe he isn't such a bad guy either. Maybe Satan, has some valuable lessons to teach me. And that's when I got into metal.
Yeah, the Grinch 2000 with Jim Carrey is very much like Paradise Lost. We have a satanic protagonist, individualist, just waging war on the world, but all the while longing to be a part of the world that created him, shunned him.
Yeah.
That's our first Paradise Lost connection for the listeners out there.
Or there's a short story. I believe it's called The Children of O'Malus. A town, a utopia, much like Whoville. Everyone's happy, orgies in the streets. Everyone has all the money that they need, the job that they want. But there's just one secret for the town, and that there is one child kept away in the corners of the city in a basement who suffers. He's tortured, he's beaten, he's deformed, he's diseased, he's shunned by the rest of the town. And the thought is that the rest of the town could not maintain their happiness if that child was not kept there. Every person has to wake up and be able to say, at least I'm not that guy. And that's the Grinch.
Dude, that's insane. No, because we've definitely touched on a part of that too, at least within the Who Society. Here's a factoid. So do you remember in this movie there's kind of that like tramp Who, this like old bearded Who? So that's Ron Howard's dad. But we were kind of postulating in one of the episodes, maybe that was the reason for keeping Tramp Who as Tramp Who, is, at least there's this Who suffering in the streets, and we're not him.
Yeah, because I think he, at most points in the movie, like the day after Christmas, when all the Who's are coming together, he looks like he had a rough night. His hair is like all over the place. One of his other main, I would say, his prominent scene in the film is just the Grinch stealing his or borrowing his liquor that he keeps under his very long beard.
Does the Grinch drinks liquor, or
Uh,
the Who does?
well, the Grinch goes up to him. He's like, "You mind if I wet my whistle?" And he pulls one of the bottles that has the three X's on it, which is that's just the universal sign for hard liquor. And he takes a sip, and then he burps an enormous flame. So I can only imagine the amount of alcohol that was in that liquid. And he does claim it is his good stuff that he brought out for the jubilation itself. So it's he's bringing essentially he's bringing a flask of his best of the best to this celebration, this big old party. The only Who in this movie I think that we can see really getting fucked up. Well, I mean, I guess we've got the swinger party too. That goes without saying. They're all just getting probably just fucking doing a bunch of Who cocaine and all that bullshit.
And there's no question, after he leaves the jubilation, he still goes back to his misshapen box that he lives outside the post office.
Jubilation. It's almost weird to see the Grinch drinking liquor. You'd think it would be some cartoonish substitute like garbage juice or toxic waste or something.
Yeah, we were talking about trying to make some toxic sludge for like a Christmas party. Just put a bunch of, weird liquids in there, maybe some NyQuil.
The Grinch strikes me as an absinthe
Yeah,
cocktail, maybe.
I could see that. Some mint flavored absinthe. Because I mean, really, his diet is just it seems rotting fruit and garbage. So I mean, he probably does just kind of just compress everything he can into liquids to get his water intake that he needs.
Yeah, absinthe with a desiccated lemon slice.
Some dirt. It always amazes me every time I watch this movie. I can't see Jim Carrey behind the Grinch mask. It truly just is this creation of the Grinch who is himself. I mean, in a lot of other movies, it's like, oh, okay, that's Jim Carrey portraying Stanley Ipkiss in The Mask, or that's John Travolta as some is some greasehead monkey. But it's like in here, it's like this. I can't see Jim Carrey. I think there are two moments where the way he delivers a line brings me back to that is Jim. That's just Jim Carrey's voice. But every other moment, it's just totally encapsulated in the Grinch.
It's the mark of a great actor to for the audience to see past the individual and accept merely the character, which is why he should have won Best Actor in the year 2000.
I know Jim Carrey's been famous in recent years for his method acting. You have to wonder what he did to prepare for the Grinch.
Just slept in a dumpster every night after shooting.
I'm imagining a world now. We've had a lot of people play the Joker, Batman's Joker, and they say it's a challenging role. People maybe even torture themselves over getting into the role. What if that was the Grinch and there were these constant remakes, people just throwing themselves into the Grinch, losing their minds, different actors' takes.
Yeah, I've wondered that too. Who would deliver? I don't know, the most inventive new Grinch. Like the film would just be called Grinch, kind of like Joker, but like who else could fill those shit? Maybe Joaquin Phoenix. Like Joaquin Phoenix would give a heart-wrenching Joker performance.
Just like a modernized like story of the Grinch, where it's no longer the Who's, but it's just an American society where somebody hates Christmas so much and he tries his best to, like, stealing Christmas from New York City.
Just a cab driver in New York City.
Oh man, who would? Oh god, that's a great question. I mean, obviously Jim Carrey is, when I think Grinch, I think him. But trying to force myself to think of another actor who could portray that is
Probably
is
Heath Ledger could do a
just
pretty.
his Weekend at Bernie's, like pull up his corpse. All right, Heath, we're bringing you back for the Grinch. Hope you don't mind.
Computer animated.
God, dude, I can totally see that now. Heath Ledger exhumed for one more performance. I tried to think on the line of like what other comedic actors or comedians could maybe give an interesting portrayal of the Grinch. I would be really interested to see some really like sad, all too real version of maybe like a Patton Oswalt Grinch, where he just maybe lives on a street corner. He's just a little shorter and more stout, and it just hates Christmas even more.
What about a story arc where, the Grinch's life plays out as is, but something terrible happens to Clint Howard, who later becomes like basically the son of Grinch.
It's son of Grinch. Because it's heavily implied. I mean, he ends up with Martha May Who. She moves in with the Grinch at the end of the movie. What's the next step? Making more Grinchlets.
Like, Clint Howard is kind of the Grinch of our society in real life.
Looks a little bit Grinchy, even without makeup.
So Patton Oswalt, Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix. Maybe, who's the guy from There Will Be Blood?
Dude. Daniel Day-Lewis. Dude, he'd be such an intense Grinch, they'd like have to make him red or something. Like, I'd be terrified to be on set with a Daniel Day-Lewis Grinch. Like, now you see, I've made a bunch of presents, and I'm gonna burn them all because you don't deserve them. I'm a Grinch man. There's an ocean of cheer beneath you, and I'm the only one that can get to it. I think that's my favorite suggestion. Daniel Day-Lewis as the Grinch. We'll call him out of retirement. He was supposed to that was supposed to be his last movie, that one where he's in the fashion industry. But I think this is just the paycheck that Universal can write. I mean, Harrison Ford didn't want to go back into Star Wars, and there he was.
Yeah, we all know how that movie went. Which is garbage. I'd love to see Will Smith's interpretation as the Grinch.
Some movie where that would be the movie where he does have his son, and it's just Jaden Smith.
What's Hancock? I imagine it'd be like a little bit like Hancock.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just this like reprobate lounging around the city, and then they need him. Then he finds out there's another Grinch.
Yeah, Zach, we had an unfortunate discovery in one of the viewings of this movie This small man actor who plays the Grinch died 2 years after this role.
What?
Yeah, Josh Ryan Evans. He's 18 right now in this role, and he passed 2 years after this.
I'm just pulling up a picture. You said Josh Ryan Evans?
Josh Ryan Evans.
Yeah, once we discovered that, we gave him a moment of silence. We muted the film, and we gave him like about 10 seconds of consideration, which is what he deserves. Rest in peace,
Wow.
Josh Ryan Evans.
That is tragic.
It really is. It's something to do with his heart. I think it like exploded or something.
Yeah, congenital heart failure we found. It was some Christmas shaving accident.
Well, I'm while that's tragic, I'm almost more relieved to hear it was of relatively natural causes instead of some type of Grinch-induced psychosis or some type of sleeping pill episode trying to get into the child Grinch's mind.
I love how the teacher even calls him Mr. Grinch as like a small child.
Mr. Grinch.
Yeah, I think another source of contention with the Grinch, of course, it's a Dr. Seuss work, but I've heard more and more the more parents that I meet who don't like Dr. Seuss because of all the nonsense words. The whole reason you read to your kid is because you love them, or maybe you just have to, and you need them to be able to read. And so you read them a Dr. Seuss book, and you're actually taking them a year back. And they're learning about soozles and famboozles instead of actual words, and you're just teaching them baby talk.
Fizzleflorns and fallopian tubes.
Fallopian tubes.
Who balls?
Yeah, you definitely don't need your child being the laughing stock in anatomy class later. Like, I thought that was the gazorpadoodle. Like, no, that's the gastrointestinal tract. Yeah, I actually never thought about that. Yeah, the fake words. Because, I mean, Shakespeare can make up words and they'll find their way into, English lexicon. But I don't know if we've adapted any Seuss words. Maybe Grinch. That guy's a real Grinch. I've heard that in a few supermarkets.
That's interesting. I bet you there is a word that Seuss pioneered that we use. Just like Shakespeare invented bump. That was one he made up. Like, there's got to be something like that for Seuss.
I think he might have made up the word Who, and then the band The Who. We're big fans of Dr. Seuss. We're the Who's now.
Yeah, but for him to write a story like this, if we're drawing parallels to the author, Seuss has to be the Grinch here.
Ooh.
Right? I mean, he must have been an isolationist. Right? Maybe even a little bit of an outcast.
Oh, yeah. I could see Seuss having a few bad Christmases back in the day. He's like... Because, I mean, there are undoubtedly people that, can receive, praise or, in some words, sexual intimacy, for people appreciating their art. What if all your art is, like, made for children? Like, he probably had a tough time in the bars around Christmas. Like, hey, I drew the Cat in the Hat. Like, do you want to make out with me?
So, do we figure out the source of Seuss's creativity? Is this opium? Is this alcoholism?
I gotta guess all of the above.
Yeah.
I do remember watching a documentary-esque movie of Dr. Seuss where I know he had like big ties into World War II. He did a lot of like war-related comics. So maybe I don't know. Maybe like his dad was a Nazi or something, and he was like, fuck you, Dad. I'm gonna make stories for children.
Interesting.
And probably alcoholism at a point. I mean, don't we all?
Oh
I mean, that's inevitable.
yeah. Sometimes you need it.
Are those guys carrying eggnog on their heads?
Yes, yeah, they've got eggnog hats for the Jubilation Eve.
Yeah, wardrobe team had a field day on this. Like, what other movie could you pitch that as a viable idea? We're gonna have a cup of eggnog kind of sloshing around on your head. We're gonna dress someone up as a Christmas tree. Dude, the other thing, so we recently watched a few of the Grinch-themed pornos, and they got, just, I don't know. It was maybe a lack of creativity on their part. Because, you see, like, Hood'em and Hootery, but I'm a staunch
Hooters.
believer you can't just tack Who on anything and just, have people believe it. Like, one of the actresses in one is like, oh, nice Who penis. And we're like, come on, give us like Dingle Dongle or Slippery Sloop. But Who penis, Who boobs? Actually, well, no, someone did say Who's, and I thought that was pretty clever.
My
The
little
wang.
Who. I'm having a Who-gasm.
You found the clitomungus.
So I can't imagine there would be. The main who I expect in a Grinch porn would probably be the hot one, Cindy Lou Who's mom.
Oh yeah.
Is that her mom?
Or do you mean Martha May Whovian?
Yeah,
She is actually non-existent in the pornos that we watched.
really.
I will say there was, I think one of my favorite just concepts in the Grinch pornography universe was, it was like the whole setup was, it was a classic like porno film where we've got a couple different scenes with a couple different actors. Where the first one was actually Betty Lou and Lou Who, the parents of Cindy Lou. They were, getting a little naughty on Christmas Eve, and then the Grinch, comes in their house, and it's a classic. Cindy Lou gets up for a cup of water, and she's like, "Oh, like who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the Grinch," and then they fuck, and then the climax of this film is actually Betty and Lou Who come downstairs. They're like, "What's all this racket? Oh my God, Cindy, what are you doing? That's not how you fuck. Let old mom and dad show you." And it's just the two women getting pounded on opposite ends of the couch, with Lou Who and the Grinch just pounding them from behind, and they're both just moaning in each other's faces.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was a slippery slope to the. I was just hoping we didn't get to that point. What is the? Oh God, what is that drug movie where they have the ass to ass scene?
Oh, Requiem for a Dream, the best comedy movie to ever exist.
Yeah, I was just like, please don't go there.
That is honestly the funniest movie I have ever seen.
So how many Grinch porns were you able to find, like good ones?
In the episode, we watched through like 4 of them. I would say they were all pretty decent because there were a few that are very skippable. There was one just called "The Grinch Who Fucked Christmas," and it's just one dude in a Santa Grinch outfit standing alone masturbating in a room for 9 minutes. We didn't watch that. There was one that seemed like this couple, just like the guy got this mascot quality like mask of the Grinch and just had that on his head while they were just having sex. But there were some really there were some good ones out there. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
I think another one was the Grinch Who Gaped Christmas. Was that it?
Yeah, like a gaping asshole.
Yeah, and it was that one was a 4 episode or 4 chapter as far as we could find. But it seemed most of the first episodes 1 through 3 were like it was like the Grinch, causing some ruckus, and then 2 people going like, oh no, our presents are gone. At least we have each other, and then they fuck. So, I mean, those ones. It was I would say that one was actually they did put a lot of effort into it. They did a lot of rhymes, a lot of naughty rhymes about sex and the Grinch stealing Christmas and gaping everybody with her enormous asshole. And then episode 4 was the female Grinch got fucked by the homeless bum. Which was it was good. It was a good one. I think as far as the the pornography aspect, I think that was probably one of the best fucks. She was really enjoying it. She had green skin from head to toe to camel toe. And so that one was really good. The episodes before it were just random. In that universe, instead of whos, they were whores. So they were having sex, and it was all right. But I was like, all right, like bring the Grinch back, like come on.
Damn.
Yeah, that chapter 4, that's a video I've watched after the episode as well.
So, you guys have gone about as deep into the Grinch as anybody, I would think. Have you heard of any contemporaries, any potential competition people who have gone as deep into the Grinch as you two?
I know on our Grinch memes, there was recently a guy that kind of posted a video where he had like questions about the Grinch. It seemed like he didn't really like it. But other than that, I don't know if I've seen anyone who's as Grinched out as we are.
Yeah, not even close. Not even close. I mean, I've seen people who are like, oh yeah, like I enjoy the movie. And I'm like, well, that's great. Like, how much do you enjoy it? Do you watch it every day in December? How many times? Wow, how many times have you watched it in a single day? Tell me. And they say, well, maybe like once or twice a year. I'm like, oh, well, come on. So, yeah, I personally haven't experienced very many. Really lackluster appreciation for the Grinch. But I mean, by normal standards, it's a regular amount. But to me personally, it's weak and insulting, if you ask me.
Yeah, some people take the Grinch as entertainment. At this point, it's a necessity for us. We've crossed over and need our fix.
So if you have kids, do you imagine that you will have them watch the Grinch?
I think so. I mean, it'll depend on what Christmas movies kind of come out, afterwards. Maybe when they're born. But this is one of those old ones that it's like, kids, you got to sit down and watch Papa's favorite movie.
I'm definitely from like ages 1 to 5. I will be watching The Grinch every day in December, and I will force them to watch it so that they just have like a deeply rooted appreciation and love for this film. So when they grow older, like after 5 years, I'll stop. I'll watch it in the privacy of my own bedroom with my, extremely beautiful, gorgeous, hot wife, and we'll, have sex to this movie every time. While the kids are, I don't know, doing their own thing. But, eventually once they get older, I will let them kind of rediscover the movie on their own, and hopefully they will be like, wow, why do I have these deep-rooted feelings for this film? Right. And hopefully, kind of push them into their own Grinch legacy to carry on after when I die.
Right. No, you're right, because you can't force the Grinch on this. You just got to plant the seed and let it flower later on.
And who knows? Maybe they will end up, turning into a Grinch themselves. They're like, I for some reason I hate this film. Maybe their tiny, stupid baby minds, don't appreciate the art that they're watching, and kind of develop a ill feeling towards it. It's just kind of an experiment that I'm really excited to try. In the next 30 years when I accidentally have a kid.
Yeah, just that one point when they're a teenager and you're like, you know what, you're ready, and you take them to your cave out back. I was a little relieved to, hear that was your strategy and not like, I'm going to raise a child who thinks this is the only movie ever made. Like, I'm going to hide all other media from them, keep them locked in my house, just watching The Grinch over and over.
Yeah, I couldn't do that to anybody. I mean, as much as I love this film, it's like you can't just. I mean, I'll watch this every day in December, but I still watch other movies. It's not like I've watched at least 2 other movies this month. So,
if you wanted to raise your child to become the Grinch,
mhm.
how do you think you could make that happen?
Oh, I would put them in a cage in the backyard, and I would just feed them garbage, and I would probably spray paint them green, and put like a mirror in there to where they could just look at themselves. Honestly, I would probably get hair implants on them. I'd probably have to go to like Mexico or something. I don't know how legal it is to put Grinch hair implants on a 5-year-old child. And I'd probably have to, as they grow older, as the patches kind of grow out, I'd probably have to schedule some more implants. But I would definitely, maybe like my second child, the first one I'll do like the age 1 to 5, you watch the Grinch. But the second child, I will turn into the Grinch. And so like the older one will be like, oh, like I either hate or love my sibling because they resemble the Grinch so much, and then the second one will just be, is this who I am? Is this and I won't let them watch the Grinch until it just kind of comes in their life and they're like, oh my God, this is who I am. Father, why have you done this to me? And I'll just laugh in their face while I'm drinking, scotch or something, and probably, slap them a couple times.
It's like that experiment with the monkeys in the cage where they get hosed off when they try to get the banana and they like keep switching them out, and then eventually none of the monkeys know why to not eat the banana. They're just pulled away by the other monkeys. You just gotta let your children raise each other to be Grinches. So here's a question maybe about imprinting children, but how deep into the Santa Claus lore do you feel like you would get with your child, Zach?
I've thought about this. Yeah, because I wonder the effect it had on my developing mind. I wonder if that is worth passing on, or if maybe I'd be saving my child from something that happened to me, to shelter him. I would tell them much sooner than I was told. Um, you know what? You know what though? Also, it's like my parents. Part of the reason I think they hid it was because they weren't comfortable explaining to me the truth behind it. Just like with Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you raise a child being open to the true nature of things, I think it becomes easier to still let them see the magic of Christmas, without Santa. Um,
That's probably the healthier way to do it. Honestly, you're not lying to your child. You're like, maybe it doesn't have to be some magical white fat man that brings us all these gifts. Like it is your parents who are giving you this love, and we are buying these gifts for you. It's not some random man. So honestly, but the child wins where they feel more love from their parents rather than this old white man, and the parents get love from their child rather than this appreciation for some random white stranger.
yeah, exactly. I think I'd raise them. Now that I really think about it, I'd raise them to be like Santa agnostic, sagnostic. Like they ask me, "Is Santa real?" Like someone told me it's not real, and I'd be like, "Honestly, I have no idea. I truly don't." Like the presents come. I don't know where they come from. I don't have any proof either way. Like make an argument.
Make an argument.
Do you think he's real? I don't know.
Yeah, you tell me.
You think he's so excited about the check because he just has never had any money? It's like it'd be nice to, you know, get something that wasn't already pre-used or broken.
Honestly, what would the Grinch do with money? I think he just wants to take as much as he can from the Who's. He would probably take the biggest check he could and probably burn it. He just wants to steal. I mean, he's got deep-rooted feelings of trying to take as much from the Who's, with that check comment, I think.
Why did they reach out to the Grinch to give him this award in the first place?
Cindy Lou thought that the Grinch was the most deserving of the award because it's supposed to go to the who needs it most to help them, reinvent the spirit of Christmas and love. But the mayor just wants the award for himself because he's a greedy, fat man. And all the Who's just don't give a fuck. They're just there to party. They literally don't give a shit who it goes to. They just want to get drunk and probably fuck each and every one of the other Who's.
This party is the veritable who's who of the Who's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a little presumptive, though, of Cindy to be like, I've heard about how, horrifying and emotionally scarring your life is. I know just the thing. My perception of what happiness is. Like, you just need Christmas. It's almost like colonialism. You just need God.
Can you imagine the amount of ecstasy that the Grinch is just feeling right now? He's being adored by the entire town. And he's just hamming it up. Honestly, sometimes I wish the movie just ended right here. Where it's the Grinch is happy. He won the award. It's like everybody loves him. That's what I can only hope for him. But, of course, then we wouldn't get the wonderful story of what happens after. Sometimes we end the film before the Grinch learns his lesson, too. Right after he steals Christmas from everybody, we just shut it off. It's like, all right, the Grinch won, and that's it. The Who's are all depressed and sad, and they don't get Christmas.
And that razor is a relic of his childhood.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The same exact model, almost just a big in your face of, hey, Grinch, remember when we scarred you for life and we made you, go away for, 50 years?
Yeah, the mayor's just like, remember when I said that hilarious zinger that made you lose your faith in all humanity?
Dude, honestly, I could see the mayor, I mean, I know he, is probably doing it out of spite, but I can almost see as, his character, bringing that up as, he doesn't realize, the horrible, amount of, feelings that it's going to bring back to the Grinch. He's just like, oh, remember that time that, I totally, fucked you over and you went ballistic? That was hilarious. I love that. So let's relive that again.
Yeah, he's a little insensitive to the Grinch.
Yeah. And I mean, it just goes without saying, he's been this insensitive his entire life, so he's probably, unbeknownst to himself, the actual damage that he is putting out into the world.
And is the mayor involved with her?
Yes. So I believe I mean, he proposes to her right now. So I think it kind of goes out saying that they are at least dating, or they're an item. He's the mayor. She's the hottest who in town. It just, they just go hand in hand. But she is a little hesitant at accepting the marriage. So she obviously has some sort of, either she realizes how shitty a person the mayor is, or she's like, oh well, I do have these feelings for the Grinch, who did just reappear and reopen all my feelings for him. But with the big diamond in the car, she's like, well, these gifts sure are dazzling. So
And is it ever explained why the Grinch is green and hairy, where all the other Who's are not?
There is a small line that Lou Who has in the post office where Cindy Lou is saying, "Oh, he's a who," and then Lou says, "Oh, he's more of a what." And so our interpretation of that is there's who's and there's what's, there's whys, there's hows, and this is just what what's look like.
I've had a personal theory where the Grinch is actually just a who puts the mask on from the other Jim Carrey film, The Mask.
Cross
And
carry.
he just never takes it off, and that's how he gets all of his strength. He's a little less in your face cartoony as the other mask, but it would explain the green color, and perhaps he's just kept it on for so long that he is just totally engulfed by the mask. But who knows, really? It could be the toxic sludge, maybe just a deformity in himself.
The Grinch is just the cable guy in some weird dystopian
Yeah.
Christmas future.
Yeah, something like that.
The Grinch is Andy Kaufman. Yeah, Indy brought up a great point, I know, in his podcast. Like, that's some high proof alcohol. Like, you can't just light, Jack Daniels or Jameson on fire like that. Like, that is some great stuff. Like, that's the level where you start like tripping out on alcohol. Like, and that's what the Who tramp needs to even just live and function.
Should be calling all Hoonits.
Missed opportunity.
So there are also miniature Who's.
Oh yeah, no, who's of all sizes? Because I know in the animated version they do have some really tiny, like ant-sized Who's, like carrying the Christmas tree. So they tried to keep that. They had a level of CGI where they could, make some people look very small. We were asking, where are the giant Who's at? Is there some
There would have to be
10-foot tall Who like wandering through the wilderness?
Or even a giant what?
A giant what? Ooh, Jolly Green what?
I got it.
Even more, that explosion scene, even better than Die Hard. This movie has everything.
Honestly, yeah, this movie truly does encapsulate everything Christmas, everything Grinch, everything spiteful, everything hateful, everything romantic. This is the movie. I would say this movie really covers every genre that you could ever explore in film. It really just truly reaches all four corners.
Action, drama, comedy.
You get a little bit of romance.
A little romance. I'd say, there are moments of subtle horror.
Oh yeah.
You know, Grinch is slinking around.
Oh,
Could
yeah.
be, the Babadook. It could be anyone in those halls.
It's true. A little bit of commercialism, a little bit of socialism, a little bit of. I mean, there's probably like some.
A lot of isms.
Yeah, a lot of isms. Some nose-isms, definitely, from the mayor. I know. I mean, this movie truly stands a testament to time. It's not many movies that, are made that you just know will be in history forever. I mean, there are a lot of movies that are made that are easily forgotten, like the new Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker.
Ooh, here's something I saw just the other day too. So that clock tower, there's a statue of Horton on top of that clock tower. Yeah, that elephant. A little homage to Horton hearing the Who's.
So, do you think that in that case, these Who's are aware of other Who society? Like they must know who Horton is. They have a statue in his, in his name. Maybe some of these Who's perhaps migrated from the fucking dandelion speck that those Who's were on, and they have made their way to the snowflake. And they're like, oh yeah, this fucking big old elephant fucking saved our asses, so we'll put him on top of our Christmas statue.
Probably every piece of the Seuss cosmology could be tied together into one narrative.
Oh yeah. I just wonder how they would get that information from Snowflake to, Speck of Dust to, where all the other Who's are. Do they have some sort of like telepathic communication form or?
Oh, yeah, because how big are the Who's compared to Horton?
Yeah, they are just microscopic. I mean, he does it in. I mean, I haven't seen the new Horton movie, and I don't really remember the book or the. Was there like an old animated one as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think they did make a few Seuss stories into animated cartoons, and yeah, the gist was it's an elephant who is either I don't know. I think he's like wrestling away the dandelion from someone, but he's able to somehow like look down with microscopic vision and see and hear the Who's, and know that there's a whole colony of people on this dandelion, and then the rest of the people are just trying to kill him.
Well, no, isn't the story of Horton Hears a Who? It's like they all need to scream to get the attention of Horton, right? Because they're all waiting on that one last Grinch-like who refuses to yell and scream. But like once he does make a sound, then isn't that when Horton hears them? Or maybe, or no, he's trying to go around and convince people. They're like, oh no, there are people on here. Trust me, I'm not a fucking crazy elephant. And they're like, oh, you fucking schizophrenic, fucking psycho. And he's like, no, seriously, you got to believe me. Listen. But he's got, the big elephant ears, so he can hear him. But I don't know. I'd have to maybe, we'll revisit that in like, October or something.
Yeah, there's definitely a fine line between Horton Hears a Who and Horton has a schizophrenic episode.
There's just so many questions. Because Who's could be all different sizes. There's what? Horton, is he a god to the Who's?
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Oh, this must be a tradition.
You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus, and you're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. Oh yeah, you're catching on. Grinch cast tradition.
Just face the music, you're a monster.
Mr.
Grinch.
Yes, you are.
Your
Heart's an empty hole.
Your brain is full of spiders.
You
got
got
garlic in your soul,
Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39 and a half foot pole.
Yeah, I love that song.
The Grinch Tabernacle Choir.
Zach, what would you classify this song as genre wise?
I would call this Grinch swing.
Grinch swing.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't remember who, but I think that somebody else has mentioned that. So Grinch swing might be the popular vote. I know somebody said post Grinch.
I think Rick said that. Yeah, post Grinch.
I always like calling it Grinch core.
Mr. Grinch,
you have
termites
in your
smile.
You
And
have
all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Between the two of you, I take the seasick crocodile.
And there you have it. Now the Grinch's sleigh is built. Probably the best sleigh out of all three of the film remakes of the book. And it's interesting too. In this one, you actually do see, you actually, Santa is in this version. The Santa, you see him. In the other versions, he's just a myth. It could be the Who parents, but Santa is actually existing. In this version. So it comes to a question: is this a specific Santa existing on the snowflake for these Who's, or is this the one Santa who visits every child on the face of the planet? Does he shrink down in size? Does he have multiple? Maybe this is like one of his tiny elves that he's like, go deliver on this snowflake because God knows I'm too fat to, fit on it.
Interesting.
You got me wondering if there could be a setup where there's normal sized Santa and microscopic Santa. They're both friends, they both live together, but normal sized Santa's like, yeah, I'm gonna hit all the humans, you hit all the individual snowflakes on the planet.
Well, that's one of Santa's main powers is the ability to transmogrify himself and his size. He can fit through a keyhole or a chimney. So I don't see any reason why Santa couldn't hit all the snowflakes just as easily as he could hit all the kids in India and China and America in one night.
Yeah, because God knows there are just millions and millions of children in China alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it harkens back to almost the Tim Allen Santa Claus. It's like if we're just giving Santa these godlike powers, if you can create a chimney out of anything, you can at least shrink down. I'd almost wonder to think who would win in a fight now between Santa and Jesus, given their magic powers.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because Santa surely has super speed. I don't know that we've ever seen an act of speed of that caliber from Jesus.
Yeah, and he's got arguably hundreds of elves at his disposal. Where Jesus has what 12 disciples, and one of them is working against him. He really doesn't have much of a. It's not much of a comparison.
You do have to take into account the size of the disciples.
That is true.
The elves are much smaller.
I don't know. I mean, who would you rather fight? 12 regular-sized men or 100 elves?
Do I have a sleigh?
It's like that classic question of how many third graders could you beat up if there was a fifth grader at every 10th level?
Yeah. Well, an underrated Jesus power, too, is he has the ability to turn blood into wine. So what's to stop Jesus from just literally shifting all of Santa's blood into wine? Santa dies of alcohol poisoning. Game over.
That's a great point, because of the two, only one of them can come back after they're killed. unless Christmas spirit would
It-
just bring Santa back.
It's a known fact that Santa can be killed via the Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
You're right. It's Santa
Yeah.
canon.
So a new Santa may be able to avenge Santa, but that Santa would die.
Yeah, so I guess really it just comes to the point of, is it the idea of Santa that is fighting Jesus, or one specific Santa? Because if it's the idea of Santa and his spirit, this is a fight that would be ongoing until the end of time, which is much like in today's day and age, where I feel like a lot of a lot of Christian families are probably like, oh well, this is a time for Jesus, not Santa. So really, they are probably fighting to this day. Jesus just gets most 11 months out of the year, and then it's like, all right, December I'll give this one to you, but Christmas is still my birthday, so I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. Are there more Christians or people that celebrate Christmas?
I would probably say celebrate Christmas. I mean, everybody celebrates Christmas. I don't know a single person that doesn't. I mean, free gifts?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people that aren't Christian anymore.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who outright would kill any Christian. Not personally. I just know of them.
Figuratively.
ISIS and well, actually I don't know. Is cuz ISIS believes in something. Is it Jesus, or is it just a different version of Jesus? Is it like their ISIS Jesus?
Yeah. Santa to me seems a very like American concept. I know it's based in like pagan myths and stuff, but is there another Santa? Is there Santa of the Middle East? Is there an Indian Santa?
Yeah, you're right. Because all I can think of is it's like European roots. So I know like there's got to be probably some European countries that kind of follow the Santa myth, but I'm just not sure. Maybe the rest of the world is like bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in those countries that don't have like access to internet, they probably don't even know what Santa is. Just rumors of some white man coming, and they're probably like, "Oh, I don't like the idea of that." Or I don't know. Is like, are there? I feel like there's got to be at least some sort of like, cultural comparison to Santa around Christmas time. I don't know. Is Christmas celebrated in every country? Probably not.
Well, I think that like basically when the Roman Empire expanded and kind of absorbed all of the like kind of the tangents of different pagan cultures, there was an attempted marriage of these Christian concepts with the more pagan ones. And so you start seeing these adapted myths of the pagan myths where instead of these warrior gods, or for example, Balder used to be a warrior god. When the Roman Christianity Protestant influence came about, he became more of a Jesus figure. He became pure, and he became a pacifist. And Santa, to me, seems like halfway between Viking Santa and like Jesus. Like you've seen the Office episode where Dwight comes in dressed as, what is it, like Yorgos Claus or something?
Oh
like
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I don't see why there couldn't be other instances of that appropriation.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Now that we're talking about appropriated characters, I almost wonder if the Grinch might have been some offset of the Krampus. This kind of vile creature that will come around and whip the naughty children. It's one of those like German folklores where it's just about like, oh, you should behave or, you'll get beat. And that's just the crux of the story. The Grampus.
Yeah, because honestly, I mean, that's really the same concept as what Santa is. It's like, oh, be good and you'll get presents. Like, be good or you'll get whipped. So, I mean, really, to the core of them, it's kind of sending the same message, just a little different outcome.
We got to look up Krampus porn now. I think that was the Stuart Little actor.
Oh God. Yeah, it's funny in the original animated cartoon, he takes the crumb in front of the mouse, but in this one he just takes the mouse himself, which he probably eats. He's like, oh, a nice little snack to keep me going.
I got to keep this to get the cat's attention. Yeah, how would you see your cat reacting to Santa coming in your house?
Oh, he would just hide.
Because I know Kitty would probably attack Santa and start playing with, his costume a little bit. It was very carpet-like. Probably just start biting his ankles.
I mean, Santa's got to have some sort of. He's got to be prepared for that shit, because there are a lot of homes with multiple animal guard dogs and stuff like that. So he's got to have a plan for stuff like that. Maybe he's got some stakes or.
Well, another Santa power is to be able to put things to sleep on command.
Really?
Yeah,
So he could just put Jesus to sleep, and then kill him.
potentially.
What other
Potentially.
do you know like the full scale of Santa's powers?
Of course.
What else can he do? What else is he able to
So
process?
he can shapeshift.
Into anything?
He can speak all languages.
Wow.
That's also of the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. You can see that happen there. That's Santa canon.
Santa cannon.
Yeah, he has the ability to talk to animals.
Mm-hmm.
He can also hypnotize people, put them to sleep.
Wow.
Super speed. He also seems to have. I guess this would fall under the shapeshifting, but he can maintain his weight or size under any circumstance.
So does Santa just is the fat look his natural look, or is that just the image that he has decided to make for Santa Claus?
That's the image he chooses.
That is the image he chooses.
Because if he wanted to remain skinny, he could. Although there's no telling how much strain that would have on his magical energy.
This is the only form you mortals can comprehend. Some gelatinous, alien, fifth-dimensional being, but he's like, I better just take this form.
You could argue that Santa doesn't need his lungs. He has the supernatural ability to breathe because he gets really high in the sleigh.
Oh, yeah.
Where the air is thin.
Does he even have lungs? I mean, if you're a shapeshifter, do you have a skeleton and organs? I mean, what happens to your insides when you shapeshift into let's say another being? Are you just one big cosmic being?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We gotta catch Santa Claus and dissect him.
Well, and if that's the case too, it's does he have super strength to be able to carry this bag, or is it just a case of a magical bag of holding?
I think it's got to be the magical bag of holding, because if he truly was carrying around every gift he was giving to every single child, he would have a bag as big as the planet Earth.
He seems to be able to manipulate space-time.
It's like that Jimmy Neutron Christmas episode where he puts all the presents in his dimensional cube. And Santa's like, yeah, good call there. You know, I use similar technology.
Now, what do you know about Mrs. Claus? Is she also one of these cosmic shape-shifting beings, or is she just some old bitch that got hitched?
Mrs. Claus is also timeless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's got to be. I mean,
Yeah. She is able to maintain an immortal life at the North Pole.
so do you know where like Santa came from? Where this being originated from? Was he just created into existence to be this role of Santa for the good people of Earth, or did he earn this role in some sort of trial by combat from his home world? Or
So I think that culture comes first, and then heroes come after, right? To fit the culture and to tell the story of the
Yeah.
culture. So, I think that for however long there was a celebration, right? This once a year thing where everyone gets together. That there's maybe a spirit of giving or other things, a ceremony,
mm-hmm.
and eventually, Kris Kringle was chosen as the representative, molded into.
Is
the
that
figure
Santa Claus's like real legal name, Kris Kringle, or is that just a nickname?
I'm sure if you traced it back to like its pagan roots, it would be something different. But
Short for Christmas Kringus. Yeah, I wonder if he is just like it's like a kind of Dragon Ball Z scenario where there is one guardian of the world like Kami, but Santa is just our Kami. Like he's just sitting atop a fortress in the North Pole, looking down, and he can see and hear all. Because he'd let us know if aliens were coming.
Would he though? Would Santa Claus sacrifice himself to save mankind? He just gives us presents one day out of the year. I don't know if he is like, I don't know if he's willing to sacrifice himself for us. He just rewards the good children of the world. You know, is he really going to save everybody, including all the bad people on the naughty list?
I think we're right in the Daniel Day-Lewis Grinch as we're speaking right now. Santa just looks down on the world. Do they deserve saving? You know, is there any niceness left? Maybe it's time for a new era. Let them fall to the aliens.
there are instances in pop culture where Santa does come to the defense of the public for whatever reason.
He's like the star witness in some court cases.
Yeah, I went in the house and she was definitely cheating.
So another question: is Santa omniscient? You'd think that he'd have to be, and if he was, he must know that the Grinch is plotting this right now. Like the Grinch is on the naughty list, he knows. So Santa is knowingly allowing this to happen for the Grinch's benefit.
Well, do you think that, I mean, this is the one day a year that he's, out there putting in the work to deliver the presents. Maybe he's distracted or perhaps he's just like, well, he knows it'll work itself out. Is he all knowing? Does he see past time? I mean, arguably if he can do all these other things and if he is a being of, cosmic space and time, it just goes to say that perhaps he does see the future and the past and everything else. He's like, this thing will work itself out. I got some shit to do. But we got Cindy Lou, so she'll take care of it.
Yeah, if he knew this was happening and allowed it to happen, I think he has to have knowledge of all that is, all that was, and all that will be. he knows that the Grinch is gonna grow.
Yeah, and he knows that the Who's have hearts of fucking steel. I mean, they don't give a fuck that they got robbed blind. They still have each other. So I think, yeah, Santa's like, I'll give this one a pass. I'll just let the Who's work it out amongst themselves, because I feel like Santa would only intervene when necessary. You know,
Right.
if he sees, I mean, he lets murders go running amok. He doesn't stop that shit. So why would he stop this?
That's kind of a darker twist. So all crime in the world happens, on Santa's watch. Like he knows about it. Like maybe he even could stop it.
Yeah,
But
he's just like, oh well, no gifts for you. No new bike for you, Ted Bundy. I'm not giving you that chainsaw you've been asking for.
Looks like someone's on the very naughty list. It's the most he would ever say. We feel, though, that this film captures the true pain that it would feel like to have your heart grow 3 sizes. Some of the others are kind of like in the 2018 one, it seems more like an orgasm, like he's just really relieved and kind of like, ugh. But this is full cardiac growth here. And that's all our listeners. Hope you had a good cry this Christmas, just like the Grinch. This could be the first time he's ever cried.
yeah, I think so.
An absolutely gorgeous sunrise
So-
for the Grinch.
A pretty big coincidence.
Yeah. It's almost as if the world knows. The world does revolve around the Grinch. I mean, his heart grew, so nature's like, well, shit, time to rise and shine. Yeah, it just goes to show, no matter what, a point in the Grinch character arc, he just stays true to himself, 100%. Good Grinch, bad Grinch, I love them all. He questions it. He's like, "What's going on?" But like, I care now, so I'll just go along with it.
So one question I've had for you, Zach, I've been waiting for this episode. Do you see any elements of postmodernism reflected in How the Grinch Stole Christmas? Or is it maybe just postmodernist? Or maybe even just modernist?
Yeah.
How deep does this movie go?
I've anticipated potentially this question coming up. Yeah. So for something to be postmodern, the way I've thought of it is that it has to be an acknowledgement of something that's come before, and so I think that's there here. Right. This is not the traditional take on the Grinch. This is a twist on the Grinch.
Mm-hmm.
It's tongue in cheek, right? It's we know it's Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey knows he's the Grinch. Right. And we're all kind of in on the joke. For this to be postmodernism, for me there would have to be some other layer. And I wonder if it's there here.
Mm. Like some actual commentary on elements of our real life as, humans in a non-Seuss universe.
Right. Right. I'm not sure it goes just that extra mile.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the easy parallel would be like Shrek.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shrek is aware that it's a movie. There's jokes about things that we all know in culture, but there's also elements where there are jokes that breach that fourth wall. Like jokes that acknowledge the audience directly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there are moments where he'll kind of break the fourth wall a little bit, look right into the camera and say something to the parents, or he'll have a funny, witty line. Like, oh, yeah, my heart's really small. This time I'll keep it off. Kind of, being maybe a commentary on the Weight Watchers era. But no, I feel you. I think it really just comes across as more clever and witty than like a self-consciously driven take on modern, United States.
Yeah, and I could even see some of those almost fourth wall breaking moments in this movie is truly just the Grinch almost talking to himself. I mean, I know he's looking right in the camera, which is a little bit, but I feel like those would be comments that he would just say to himself. And I know that there's a moment where he talks to the narrator, which is still contained within its own universe. So it's like a pre-postmodernism.
But no, I see what you're getting at, Nate, because the character of the Grinch, of which this is based, is one who does asides.
Yeah,
Is one who addresses the narrator
yeah.
or addresses the reader even.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a modern adaptation of that where that's kept true, but I'm not sure that it goes much further than that.
Yeah. No, I think I would have to agree with you.
Now, I wonder what would make this postmodern.
Yeah. What would they need to what strides would they need to make to get there?
Like if there was some scene maybe where the Who's are rushing in and they are all looking for Tickle Me Elmo, and then Grinch says, "Oh, this seems a little ridiculous, don't you think?"
Right.
Like just a direct address.
Instead of a faithful Whoville is a self-conscious parody of the modern culture.
Mm-hmm.
Those bananas? And instead, did he steal a bunch of bananas from somebody? Did you see that? Look at those things hanging right there. Some
yeah.
bananas?
It's like finally some yellow ones and not these greasy black peels. I wonder what an actual banana tastes like.
Zach, I do have another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a universe of babies, how do you feel about Baby Grinch? Is there any sort of spectrum you could that he strikes a chord to you?
Yes. Namely on the Baby Pete spectrum.
Yes, that's the one.
So, We touched this briefly earlier in the podcast. The idea of child Grinch, baby Grinch,
Mhm.
son of Grinch.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there is something there. Um, I'm just not sure what form that would take. But if there was a baby Grinch, um, I imagine that he could pretty seamlessly find himself in the Jim Henson Baby Muppet type
Oh, yeah.
universe.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Like if Baby Grinch was a standalone character,
Mhm.
what would stop him from being in, the Muppet Christmas movie? Right. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Baby Grinch would now if in the Muppets Christmas would Baby Grinch be fulfilling the acts of adult Grinch, or would he just kind of be in there existing, or what would his role be in that universe?
Well, Baby Grinch is a lot like Scrooge, but he would have the thing. So you can draw parallels between Grinch and Scrooge, right? But
Oh yeah.
if you had Baby Grinch, he would have to be the equivalent to a baby Scrooge.
Okay.
And rather than like an adult Scrooge office, there would have to be like a baby Scrooge parallel business. So like maybe all the while in the Muppet Christmas movie, you see you see Scrooge with his office of rats,
Yeah.
doing all the stuff, but
Yeah.
but like simultaneously in that same world, like he has a child, and that child is baby Scrooge, who
Baby
also
Scrooge.
has his own business where he has friends that are also rats that are playing pretend.
Baby rats.
Yeah, but in this instance, it's not baby Scrooge; it's baby Grinch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Oh wow, that's a lot to unpack.
And by that, line of thinking, maybe the Grinch is Scrooge's son. I mean, wouldn't that make the most sense in the world, right?
Yeah.
If you had to put the Grinch realistically as a character into any other thing, out there, he would probably be Scrooge's son in the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah, because there's not really many other characters that outwardly hate Christmas like Scrooge. So yeah, I can back that.
And the aesthetic is there as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, what a beautiful film.
I'm kind of just now realizing the real parallels between Grinch and Scrooge. I mean, they're almost the same story entirely.
There's no ghosts in this one.
Yeah, ghosts are a little scary. But, yeah, because you definitely, you visit young Grinch, you see kind of what his past was like. Yeah.
Baby Scrooge, Baby Grinch.
Yeah, we need a Dream Race. Can you make a Boss Baby, but Baby Scrooge next for Christmas? He's working his parents to death.
Did you guys see where Faith Hill, or no? Well, never mind. Well, I always get Faith Hill and Mariah Carey mixed up, but Mariah Carey got her Twitter account hacked the other day by I don't know, probably some 14-year-old white kid that was just tweeting a bunch of hilarious obscenities from Mariah Carey's Twitter account, and it's all been since deleted, but she sent out a tweet that said, "I take a nap, and this is what I wake up to." I can't really repeat most of the tweets that were sent. One of them that were sent, I think, is probably the funniest one. It was just Mariah Carey tweet that reads, Eminem has a small penis. And I did screenshot that one, and I have it until the end of time. And I will probably get it framed.
Dude, I'm just looking at some of the credits going by. Clint Howard's official character name was Hubris.
His hubris was his downfall.
Yeah, this is near miss who? That must be the one that almost got run over by the car.
Pudding chef.
Voice of Max the dog?
What?
Isn't it? What? Is this just dog barks? Or is someone going, "Arr?" Like it's like a Scooby Doo kind of?
You know, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because it must be hard to get a dog to emote, the way that you want him to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Max, if you could just give us a concerned growl at this point. Yeah, it probably just was easier to get a human to act like a dog. Dude, there was one episode we were kind of joking through about, like, who could have been some other artists featured in the Grinch soundtrack. And my favorite one had to be Nate's suggestion, dude, of the Tom Waits Grinch song, dude. Yeah.
All the Grinches, coming down from Mount Crumpet. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, dude, who would you put on this soundtrack?
Oh, man. Tom Waits is a great choice. I feel that the residents could have contributed to this.
Oh, God.
Something
yeah,
with the Grinch back at his home. Saw the weird sounds.
Yeah, they would have made a great soundtrack for, like, him constructing the sleigh or, like, him just in the trash.
I would love to see like William Shatner in this film somehow. Either if we had to pick like a new narrator, maybe William Shatner would be my go-to, or because I know he did just release a Christmas album, which was interesting.
William Shatner singing Christmas songs.
Yeah.
Dude, I would put William Shatner as a mayor, like a new mayor. Like, that'd be great. You have to understand the pressures of Christmas.
Or like Alec Baldwin as the mayor.
Oh, actually, that would be great. Yeah.
Just a high-powered Who executive.
Who would be some great like Clint Howard alternatives? Maybe like Rainn Wilson would be a great one, because I really feel like this, like, the assistant to the mayor is a very like Michael and Dwight, dynamic.
Steve Buscemi.
Dude, Steve Buscemi would be great. Oh, I would love that. Maybe like Jim Carrey, just as himself.
Bold.
That's postmodernism for you. Yeah, because they've got Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth is one in sync. Busta Rhymes.
Really?
Faith Hill in this one.
What song does Smash Mouth do?
They do the song that is playing in the back of the Who Swingers party, like while they're dancing around in the house and the baby Grinch is watching.
What?
Yeah, right? And so close to Shrek, too. Like, this was Smash Mouth's time for film soundtracks for kids.
Is it just the instrumentation, or is there lyrics?
No, yeah, because what does it say? When you're done, you will be having fun, or something like that.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to investigate this. Do you know what album that's off of?
It might have been for the
Just for
production
the movie?
itself. I think, yeah, just for the Grinch.
Yeah, it does look like this song was made specifically for Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas original motion picture soundtrack. Genre holiday. Yeah, that is interesting.
This
Yeah.
is kind of an alt rock. It sounds like Tom Petty or something.
I don't know. Let's see. I know. I think that was the song before. Let me see.
I still think they should have gotten Brian Wilson to do a song for this, like maybe as Cindy Lou's like song to Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Where did your tinsel go? Where was that star I used to know?
Little Saint Grinch.
The sloop Grinch me. Yeah, what an episode. We've gotten into religion. We've gotten into Christmas.
Okay, so this song is Green Christmas, written by Stephen Page and Ed Robertson. Oh, performed by the Bare Naked Ladies. Oh, shit.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, we've got Faith Hill, Bare Naked Ladies, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Eels, You're Me When Mr. Grinch, performed by Jim Carrey himself.
Oh, the Eels.
It was Christmas is Going to the Dogs, that song that Max is dancing to.
Another Shrek parallel.
Yep, and we've got Christy Collins, Vangelis, Smash Mouth, Rick Chesterloff, and Rob Hyman.
Nice.
Oh, that was produced by, performed by Little Isadori and the Inquisitors. Yeah, we got Ben Folds. We got Taylor Momsen, Jim Carrey, and chorus. Christina Whale, chorus. I guess that's just a band, just named chorus. We got some more Taylor Momsen, NSYNC, I Found God, is a band.
Should have gotten I Hate God on this one, dude. Some nice sludge.
And then we have finally Grinch 2000, which is nowhere to be found in the film or the sound or in the credits, but we have a song by Jim Carrey and Busta Rhymes.
And that brings us to the end of another viewing of The Grinch. First viewing in 2020. You can't stop us. We're just going to keep watching. All I can say is, I'm just going to say Happy New Year, Zach.
Yeah, no, Happy New Year, Mark. Happy New Year, Nate. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, of course. Thank you for being here and giving us some insightful commentary for this wonderful movie. We really reached a lot of ground today that I'm not saying I'm surprised, but you just never know what you're going to get into when you watch The Grinch.
I can't wait for my sleepless nights where I have to mentally work out Jesus fighting Santa Claus.
Fat boy should be finishing up any time now. Talk about a recluse. He only comes out once a year, and he never catches any flack for it. Probably lives up there to avoid the taxes.